I feel like I'm inside a pizza oven.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, need that sweat towel.
Thank you.
Hey, we're hot right now.
Yeah,
Together, right?
yeah.
Good.
That's why you pay for it, son, to get the behind the scenes.
That's what you do. Heads up, Roxy.
There's some gold boys.
Oh, smartware too. Good. Thank you.
Fuck. Big play. Big play.
Big play. Atta boy. Big plays only. Hey, what was that lady that? Was there a lady that made like $1.5 million off saying she was a witch? That was recent, I think.
She was a witch?
She said she was a witch. She was a prophet.
Did she do anything witch-like?
I think she just kind of existed or whatever.
Hey, Paul, you know what the good news is? There's a Best Buy right next door if we need anything. Oh, it does? So you that ran into that, baby? Oh, this is the perfect occasion for a mental vacation. Live on socials. You,
California.
yeah, and we're live on Twitter and stuff, so set the scene.
This is Lord for all my fellas, trying to do what the ladies tell us. It sounds like, doesn't it?
I don't know. Do we have actual music or
No, this is fake. It's the knockoff music we're allowed to use because we can't pay $3 million. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show, live from the back of a box truck outside of a Hampton Inn inside of Winston-Salem, North Carolina State. Petey Pablo, on the music tie there. on the music there.
It's tough. There's a lot of moving parts back here.
I wish you could know this. Ty is surrounded by, I don't want to say this in a bad way, but there are three men back there. One of them, he has no idea who he is. The guy has an electric blue shirt on. It's teal, actually. His name's Alan. He has a nice gold chain on. He's standing right next to Ty to make sure everything goes well. He's an absolute gentleman. But there is zero air conditioner in the room that Ty is accompanying with three other men back there for. It's quite a scene here, Ty. You're doing a great job back
Yeah, I
there.
appreciate that, Pat. You are too.
We did a little baseball talk on the last break. You're a big-time baseball fan. I really thought you were going to dive in. You chose not to.
Well, yeah, like I said, there's a rat's nest of cords back here. We got phones going off the lines. There's a lot of moving parts. A lot of things I have my hands in right now.
Bill Romanowski, potentially at 11:30, calling in on the phone. What are the chances that goes live?
I'm hoping Alan's going to help me out with that, to be honest with you.
Alan is the man that was wearing the teal shirt and the gold chain, and he might be the most swagged out dude I've ever seen in my entire life. He's got he has a Rolex on, I believe, back there. What's going on?
Current situation update. I just checked the feels like temperature outside. Feels like 95, and we are in a completely enclosed black truck.
Yeah, people forget Carolina's. It's hot. It's very hot down here right now. It is, but also, wait till you hear these takes we have. Hot takes coming right around the corner. California legislature is trying to pass a bill that will go in 2023, which might as well be the year 2100.
Yeah.
4 years from now, who knows what will be happening in the NCAA. But California is set to pass, I guess if the governor signs it. Who's the guy? Is Schwarzenegger still the governor out there in California?
I don't believe so.
For all intents and purposes, yes.
Okay, so Terminator is going to sign through a deal that the players who are human athletes.
Yes.
By the way, that was forgotten in the bill. Everybody's saying student athletes. They're students and humans first before they're athletes. Let's please remember that. The student human athletes in 2023 in California will be able to make money off of endorsement deals and such.
Yes.
Which sounds incredible in theory. That sounds absolutely amazing in theory. And for those vitamin smokers and tokers out there, when Denver, Colorado, Colorado, Washington, and a couple other states passed the vitamin laws, a lot of NFL players said, well, I'm going to go play for the Broncos because it's legal there. Roger Goodell can't test me there. There was a memo promptly sent out days after the legalization of vitamins in a lot of states from the NFL, basically stating, and this is not a direct quote from the email, but it is pretty much what they said. We don't give a single damn if your state wants you to smoke weed. You are in the universe of the NFL, and we will be taking your piss and looking for THC forever and ever. Amen. And I would assume that Mark Emmert in the NCAA will be treating this the same exact way. If this was the California of old, when Matt Leinart was literally a pop culture icon dating every celebrity there potentially was. Reggie Bush was pushing him into the end zone. Reggie Bush was having the most electric plays on a football field I've ever seen, other than Pat White and Steve Slayton. Don't think they get talked about enough in that conversation. If it was back in the day, whenever USC was a mainstay for everything and Stanford was a national champion contender, not that they won't get there again, but right now it doesn't seem as if that's the case. UCLA, Cal, when Marshawn Lynch was driving the golf cart around, almost killing a couple band members. Right now, and this is going to be a shot at an entire state, and I don't mean it. The student human athletes of California aren't really relevant right now. I called the UCLA-Cincinnati game there on Thursday night. DSR, DTR, probably one of the most marketable humans out there. He's from Vegas, Bishop Chatard, I believe, in Vegas.
Gorman.
You get it? He's young. He was lit. He had a big social following. But that team stunk. They were bad at football. Chip Kelly hadn't turned them around just yet. I think they will be good potentially, maybe by 2023. But right now, the NCAA isn't going to be like, yeah, you know what? You guys, yeah, you can pay your students over there. You can let them get money. And we'll just have all our real money makers continue to not allow their athletes. You know what? Alabama, we'll make sure that they continue to not be able to pay their kids. Clemson, Georgia, West Virginia, obviously, and everybody else. There's nothing in California that will ever make, right now, that makes the NCAA not tell them, yeah, you guys can go fornicate yourselves with this law. We don't care. You just won't be a part of the NCAA anymore. That is basically what I think the NCAA will do with this. Although I like the fact, and here we go again with LeBron in business, getting involved with this. Yeah. I like the thought that student human athletes are going to be able to make money. I've been a big proponent of this for a very long time. We actually had to delete a lot of my tweets from back in the day for how big of a proponent I was before I got to call my first game for the NCAA. I think student human athletes should be allowed to make money off of their names. They are the ones that created it. They should be able to do autograph signings. They should be able to do whatever the hell they want. If the school can make money off the team, which they do, hundreds of millions for most places. Now, granted, they say, well, nobody makes money. Yeah, well, you're building $600 million facilities. Nobody's going to make money whenever you build $600 million facilities. We're doing it in a much smaller rate. We spent $31,000 on a box truck. Our company's going to make $0 this year, if I had to guess, because of this. But it's one of those things where I don't think this will be enough for the NCAA and Mark Emmert to turn his opinion on this or sway their opinion on this, that they're students first and they can't make money off of their name because we are a bunch of selfish people. That's how I feel.
I completely agree that Mark Emmert can screw California on this. But as far as the law is concerned, I couldn't wrap my head around how they were going to pay college athletes.
Student human athletes.
If they had to pay everyone. But if they are just allowing student human athletes to get paid an endorsement deal, so it's just a few players on the team, and the money's not coming from the schools, it's coming from the companies who are doing the endorsing. Love that idea, though.
The thing that everybody says, by the way, Bob Kavoyan of Bob and Tom, radio legend, listening to the show, said, show sounds good. Terminator, not the governor of California. Gavin Newsom.
Oh, Gav.
Gavin
Gav.
Newsom.
That's not a rich name.
Gavnu.
Gnu.
Gnu?
Gnu is about to sign this through. I think
Gavin.
what everybody, that's a tough
You ever
thing.
met a poor Gavin? Doesn't exist. I promise you it doesn't exist.
I'm not certain I've ever met a Gavin. It does sound like the most Caucasian name I've ever heard in my life, Gavin. but I've never met a Gavin for sure. The thing about the NCAA and where they're sitting on this, it happened with, I think, Oklahoma whenever I was in school. They all had jobs at car dealerships, and they weren't showing up or selling any cars, and they were just getting broken off, basically. And everybody's like, well, that helped Oklahoma recruit because they had a car dealership job that they would work at that they didn't really work at, that they got money. So the way that they keep spinning it is if companies can pay them for appearances, boosters at big schools will be able to recruit players by doing this, which makes sense to me, by the way. But I would argue that the biggest recruiting tool is putting the same teams on national TV every single night. Everybody's worried like, oh, it's a disadvantage when it comes to recruiting. If West Virginia doesn't have a car dealership down there that's willing to pay players $10,000 a pop for autograph signings, and Alabama does, well, the players are going to go to Alabama instead of West Virginia. I don't know how to break this to people, but whenever you have Alabama on national TV every single weekend, and you have a Hard Knocks-like show on ESPN of the Alabama team, where somehow Nick Saban looks like a real human, and you show his house and their workout facility and their spa, in their hot tub, in their steam room, and the kids know, okay, if I go to Alabama, my chance of being a top 10 pick is much higher than going anywhere else. That's already a disadvantage when it comes to recruiting. So let's just call it what it is. You don't want the kids to make any money. And that's why I think that this California thing means jack squat in the grand scheme of the NCAA.
I don't understand why the NCAA has any problem. Not coming from their pockets. If it's coming from the advertiser's pocket, why they have any problem with the student human athletes making endorsement deals?
It's because it has to be because they think that money could potentially be going to the school.
They'll advertise through the NCAA rather than the player or the school.
I think we're getting to a point where everybody is kind of on the same page, where the athletes are getting screwed. I mean, you have the old hot takers and just like I said yesterday, the people that walked uphill both ways to school. Back in my day, we had to build our John to poop. Like, there's always that thing, like the old school model. Friends of mine feel that way. Dan Dockich, a guy that I get along with, is one of the biggest proponents of keeping the NCAA the way it is. But I think as a whole, society is kind of turning. Mostly because the exposure of how much money these schools are making is becoming a much more well-known thing. When I was at West Virginia, my freshman year, I just so happened to fall into a class that was unbelievable. I've literally been riding coattails my entire life, and that didn't stop at West Virginia. I just so happened to be in the same class as Pat White, Steve Slayton, Owen Schmidt was a year ahead of me, Darius Renaud. There's just a list. The names go on and on for our team. We were incredible. Before our team really got going, though, West Virginia had never won a bowl game. West Virginia had a good team back in the 80s. We never won a BCS bowl game, ever.
Okay.
So a bowl game, but a BCS game, right? So West Virginia had always been good. West Virginia, not always, but they had been good in the past, but they never really gone big time. So then my freshman year, we win the Sugar Bowl. We get gifted mountain bikes, by the way.
Oh.
I'm going to use those in Morgantown, West Virginia.
Mountains.
That's exactly what they thought. I think, oh, what are they, mountaineers? We'll give them some mountain bikes. I'm sure these kids will use that. West Virginia is literally the Rockies. You're in the Rockies. You're either uphill or down. I bought a scooter, a remote start scooter. I never even sat on that mountain bike one time, but it was a nice exchange. But school money started flowing in now once you start winning. And I watched the campus in Morgantown go from Morgan Hole, which is literally what it was referred to as, a place where you want to have a great time, a fairy tale land where it doesn't seem as if there's any rules, to a couple years later, brand new buildings were being built. They were adding on to the stadium, a brand new locker room, whole new, the campus just had a glow up like Foxy, like Evan Fox. The entire campus from my freshman year to the senior year, I literally watched what us playing on Thursday Night Football, getting some real shine, getting a lot more students to come to the school because we're on national TV all the time, because we were winning. I saw an entire school and a university become a very nice university whenever I first got there. I don't think anybody was like, you know what, WVU? Good academic place. By the time we were done, still not saying it's the Harvard, but it's a much nicer place. So I literally watched Pat White and Steve Slayton potentially flip around an entire program, an entire university. And Pat White and Steve made nothing off of it. And that's why I have such a personal feeling towards it, because they're selling 5 jerseys and 10 jerseys and jerseys. Everybody on campus had at least one of them, like 30,000 shirt sales, by the way. You're making bank just off of that.
Oh, yeah.
I always thought Pat and Steve could have been able to make some money by signing their name. And that's where it started when I was in college watching it, and it's kind of evolved. And I think society is kind of seeing that now. It's like, hey, these kids are, yes, Rich Rodriguez put them in a system to succeed. Yes, West Virginia gave them the opportunity to get on a football field. But they were the ones. If it wasn't for them, none of this happens, and I think they should be rewarded for it. And they're like, well, if they're good enough, they'll get to the NFL. Well, not at that time, because the way Pat played, it wasn't the NFL at the time. Pat made it into the NFL, so did Steve. Injuries happened. He got slaughtered against the Pittsburgh Steelers by
Ike Taylor, I believe.
Nasty
hit on the sidelines.
Which I didn't. I did not like seeing it.
It was bad.
But he didn't make it to that big-time contract. He didn't get a chance to get paid off. Everybody's like, well, if he's good enough, he'll make the NFL. It's like he did, but he got hurt. And it's like I think the kid is still owed a lot of money, and that's why I'm so passionate about the way the NCAA is. But I like what old Gavin's doing over there in California. I hope he signs that thing through. Terrible name, great law. Just don't know if it's going to affect absolutely anything at all.
And the thing is, like the players that you talked about, there's a lot of players in college who are great in college and could make money off of this in college that just don't translate to the NFL. So, I mean, I think it benefits them more than the guys who obviously who are going to be great in the NFL and make money.
Matt Leinart. There's another guy. I mean, Matt Leinart, he was on, I mean, there were stories about him with every single Hilton.
Yes.
Every single notable pop culture thing.
Kristen Cavallari before Jay Cutler married her.
It is.
He was dating her.
And Blake Griffin, I believe, his ex has I mean, Matt Leinart was this everything. And when he was in college, his NFL career, I don't think was great. What's that? Oh, I thought you said he played 3 years in the NFL. So there's a lot going on, obviously, still in this box truck. But he played for the Cardinals, right?
Yes.
And it never really came. He never made that big contract. But what he did for USC, I'd assume USC takes care of him a little bit better than West Virginia takes care of Pat White. But I am very passionate about this. I think guys that do a lot for a program should be rewarded for it. And I don't think I should be. By the way, people are like, oh, are they going to pay the kicker or the bench? I don't think I deserve it. Like, I think I have a very, like, oh, am I, as the kicker, all-time leading scorer for West Virginia, am I expecting, and punter, by the way, All-American, no big deal, am I expecting the same type of treatment as Pat White, Steve Slayton, and the people that mattered on the team? No. And if a kid does, kick him out of the school, Doug.
But that's not your concern, though. If an advertiser wants to pay you the same that they're paying Steve Slayton, that's on them.
Hey, and I'm, by the way, 100% in.
Yeah.
I'll walk in there with my college sombrero, fresh off a high street in Morgantown, West Virginia, fresh out of Joe Mama's, right into a car dealership to sign for whatever they want to pay me. But that's my right to do so. If somebody thinks old number 40 McAfee can bring some people into their business, who's stopping them? Is this America? Is this America, Mark Emmert? California, some would say, some would argue, the least American place seems to be putting in a law to be taking care of people in an American fashion.
This is what the country was built on.
Making money?
Yeah.
Well, I think it was freedom of religion is what it started with.
Well, also freedom to make money.
Well, and also debowing a lot of people that probably didn't deserve it. I mean, our country was founded on a lot of things. But
blood, sweat, and tears.
Capitalism is a real thing, though, and it is something that should be sacred to a lot of people. Hey, you work, you do something, you become of value, you make money off of that. It's just the way it is. But when it's student human athletes, there's too many people with their hands in the cookie jar making the decisions about where the cookies could potentially go elsewhere. You can't blame them. If I was just getting broken off and I didn't have to pay the people that are making a lot of the money, I would give them the money. I think this is just like the LeBron Taco Tuesday thing. Like I don't know how they continue to see it this way, but there are people that do, and Mark Emmert, I believe, is one of them.
I mean, you're at West Virginia, and say there's a YouTube star at West Virginia. You're both going to the same classes, maybe or maybe not. You can't get paid, but he can get paid.
How about
he's
this?
Not playing a sport.
Violinist, pianist.
Yeah.
Kid comes to West Virginia. He can sell out a theater if he wants to. Video game player. That kid can play on Twitch and get bits as if he's a webcam porn star. But I'm playing 3 positions for the football team, selling out. No, I didn't sell a stadium, but you get it. We'll be back on the other side. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show. Okay, we made the first hour.
Hey, look at us.
Okay.
Hey.
First hour. Let's go.
Unbelievable. It's going in my book. Yeah, can we open that during breaks?
Me too, probably.
What, you got a neck gear router there?
Oh, that thing's about to disappear, bub. You guys need fresh sweat ones, boys?
Good.
Ignacio, the cable. Someone has unplugged the Ethernet cable to this camera, and I need to plug it back in. I don't know where it goes. There's no Ethernet back.
Not a bad show. I'm good here, Brum. Appreciate you, man.
Need more water? The black one goes in. The one that's
No, I just made this one disappear, though.
Ooh.
Hey, appreciate you.
Sam Darnold's out this week? Why?
Same one out multiple weeks. The green or the black?
And Le'Veon is also getting MRI on his shoulder. That just came out.
We suck again.
So they use
Hey, Browns are back because they're playing the Jets this week. Monday Night Football. Le'Veon to get MRI on shoulder.
Hold on. The other day I said I'm having.
Oh, he is. Oh, this is gonna be hilarious. By the way, he's out with mono.
Who is?
Sam Darnold.
Multiple weeks.
Yep.
What is he in middle school?
Easy, bro.
That's a good. I mean, that's.
Oh yeah. Anything else?
No, I would say leave that open during breaks. Maybe get some airflow.
Now he's on.
I don't know. That's not my call though.
If you get,
We'll shut it if we have to.
text me if you take food, water, whatever you need.
Appreciate it, pal.
I'm helping the only way I can. I can't do shit in there, so.
Nobody
There's
can.
too many cooks for 500.
There you go. There you go.
Oh yeah. It's just not really being circulated. Tim McAfee needs to put like there needs to be like
Oh, it's. I mean, it is. It's
yeah, but we need something
Yeah.
that
So I think it's also very hot outside and a lot of people in here. Love the effort though by everyone.
yeah. Yeah, we got that camera. 5:30 a.m. they started this thing. Tim McAfee got in at 2. What's that? A screenshot.
22 is the most dangerous to get mono before you.
Oh, you can't
And
see
he's
this guy.
he's
Okay, we can
22
see.
or 23.
The noise I'm hearing right there.
Isn't it crazy to think that dude's
Go
in
ahead and
the
talk
NFL,
that
one
mic.
of the most
Can you just talk into that mic?
successful things, and he's still able to get monitored.
Can't run away from disease.
Okay, so that's not working
Hey,
anymore.
Ryan Leaf just texted me.
What do you say?
He said Nate's his boy.
Nate.
Boyer.
Oh.
I bet you probably helped him out.
The mic is just
Wonder if they ever.
Yeah, he's 22. Yeah, he probably.
I should. Right here to 97.
So we could do Darnold. We got tonight's game.
That is off.
Good work, Foxy.
Quick hour.
Two.
This show goes.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so can Nick play music while Dawn plays the open? Let's do that. Nick, keep playing music. Dawn, shut us off, play the open, and then tell us when we're back. We'll play this music for the zone. Have Dawn dispute us from open.
Don, when we come back, can you play the intro and mute us? Because Nick also has to play the intro for video.
Just fresh it straight in. And then count us back in.
Perfect. 45 seconds.
Until the intro, right?
Who's the backup for the Jets? Is it?
Until what? Hold on. Hello and welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show, broadcasting live from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, outside of a Hampton Inn. We are so thankful that you are choosing to listen to our show today and watch our show today, wherever you are around the world and the country. You're the absolute greatest humans on planet Earth. Ty Schmidt has 13 people around him in the back room. We're in a box truck studio. It is roughly 135 degrees in here, but nothing is hotter than the sports world that we've been talking about today. If we just came onto your radio station after you just got done listening to Damon Amendola, I apologize so much that we are what you have to jump into. Mr. Amendola and I are two very different individuals.
It's a Mandalera.
That's 100% on me, too. I respect that man. He had me on his show. He's a good guy. But now Westwood One, DAZN are giving us an opportunity to talk about the sports. And when I say this, I mean this. I think we'll be able to get things for you that nobody else will. A couple of days ago, Aaron Rodgers came on the show and told us an entire story about how he was friends with Brett Favre early. Then it got a little contentious. Then now he's friends again with him. I got a chance to see that down in the Bahamas when Aaron and I were golfing together. No big deal. Then we had Clinton Portis on yesterday. He talked about the U back in its heyday. He even talked about Mr. Shapiro, the guy that was embezzling money. What I'm saying is I think I can get things out of people, and I think we can have conversations that you will enjoy. I'm done selling myself. If you don't like me, you can go fornicate yourself. Another guy that I'm a big fan of, a man that I was a teammate of with. I showered with this man. I learned a lot from this man. And tomorrow night on ESPN at 6 o'clock, I will be calling the UNC Tar Heels versus Wake Forest Demon Deacons with this man, Mr. Matt Hasselbeck. Hey, boy, Matt. Welcome to the truck, man.
Hey, wow, this is awesome. It's a little hot in here, huh?
Matt, you have no idea.
Trying to make weight? You getting like a wrestling tournament or something?
That's funny you say that. This is a little bit of a sweatshop operation here we got. Matt, the first hour was a little bit of a debacle, but we are on the air, which is all that matters. When did you get into town?
Just now, literally. Actually flew into Raleigh, Durham. Kind of a pro tip. You're trying to get to Winston-Salem, you have two options. Fly into Greensboro. Actually, three options. Fly into Greensboro.
Yep.
It's a good option. Hard to get a direct flight.
Okay.
Or you go to Charlotte.
Okay.
Or Raleigh, and you have an hour-and-a-half drive. I opted for the Raleigh-Durham traffic over the Charlotte traffic.
Well, I think that was a good decision by you.
Thank you.
What you will learn about Winston-Salem, which we learned, not a lot happening around here. I mean, we walked to the
Not yet. Not yet.
You're-
Not a lot happening yet.
Friday night, it's going to be lit, as the kids say.
Friday the 13th.
Freaky Friday the 13th.
There you
man.
go.
Full moon, too, I think.
I heard a rumor Lindsay Lohan might be at the game. Or Jamie Lee Curtis. Isn't that the movie?
Now we're playing the game. Hey, now we're playing the game. We get Lindsay Lohan talking about Thursday Night Football on ESPN on Friday. Now we're playing the game. Mr. Hasselbeck,
Yes, sir.
you played in the NFL for 18 years.
Correct.
You were a starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers for a game?
No, never for the Green Bay Packers. I was the starting field goal holder for the Green Bay Packers. The starting quarterback was this guy named Brett Favre. Favre. That's what it was.
Hey, were you and Brett Favre tight your entire relationship with him there?
I think early on, I was like probably just the guy that would go fill up his truck with gas.
Yeah.
Like first year.
Yeah, got to do what you got to do to
But
make
we
it.
became friendly, yes. Yes.
Because Aaron Rodgers was on here the other day. He
Yeah.
doesn't do a lot of shows. No big deal. Mr. Rodgers, by the way, if you would like us to be your outlet forever for everything, we're completely down with that. Ain't that right? Ty is an owner of the Packers.
That is absolutely correct.
Ty owns the Packers, by the way.
I love it.
My
My former boss.
Yeah. By the way, Ty, you sent him out of town to the Seattle Seahawks. Kind of a rude thing you and your family did, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, he had a lot of success in Seattle. I think we did each other a favor.
That's what Green Bay people do. They do good things. He's from Iowa. But Aaron talked about how at the beginning of his relationship with Brett, he was brought in. It was contentious early, right? Brett Favre was kind of an older quarterback trying to hang on, I believe were his exact words. And then whenever everything went down, it kind of got weird. But now they're good friends again. As a man that was looking from the outside during that entire situation, as a guy who knew Brett Favre, was that something you would have expected to happen because of how competitive an NFL locker room is?
Listen, it's competitive, and Brett Favre's competitive. I go back to how Brett Favre became the starting quarterback in Green Bay in the first place. So he gets traded from the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, I forgot that he was on the Falcons. Then.
And the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers was the Magic Man, Don McAfee. He was a really good quarterback. He gets hurt against Cincinnati. Brett Favre comes in, young guy, high pick. I think he was a second-round pick, but traded for a first-round pick. And he comes in, throws a touchdown pass, wins the game, and they never look back. And so I think if you look at how Brett Favre got his start in the NFL, he probably was thinking,
oh, no,
I'm never coming off this field. I saw the Magic Man, guy who had posters of him all over Green Bay, all over Wisconsin, lose his job to a young guy who came in and took it. You know, it's part of the reason why I think that Brett Favre had that streak. Like, it's part of how he was raised to, like, never come off the field, but also, like,
Iron
hey,
Man.
I'm not coming off this field because, you know, there's somebody else to come take that job. And, you know, early in his career, it was guys like Ty Detmer or Mark Brunell, but never really was there a first-round pick, like a guy with the talent of Aaron Rodgers. And so I just think it was like that competitive mindset of Brett Favre. It wasn't personal. Just he was just a football player and had a one-track mind. And I also think, like, if you're an older quarterback, you're trying to win the Super Bowl, Brett Favre, you're expecting, like, that first-round draft pick to be like a guard, you know, or a corner, a lockdown corner.
Help me out.
Help me win a Super Bowl.
Eli Manning, Daniel Jones right now in New York.
Right. The difference was Brett Favre was probably playing at a really, really high level.
Whoa, hey.
I'm just saying.
You cannot talk bad about the Mannings. I know that from firsthand. You cannot do what you just did right there.
I'm saying that
we'll dump it. We'll dump it.
The Giants aren't necessarily a playoff team.
Gotcha,
right now,
yes. The
so.
Packers were a hot team. Spend your first-round pick on a kid from Cal as a quarterback. Brett Favre's like, hey, I thought we could have got better as a team, so there's automatically a little bit of a situation coming in.
Yeah, so when I listened to Aaron Rodgers, your interview with Aaron Rodgers, and I heard him explain that.
You listen to the show?
I did. It was good.
Pretty good show.
I really tuned in for Aaron Rodgers, but, you know.
I don't care.
Okay.
Hey, some people might be tuning in right now for Matt Hasselbeck.
But listen, it was actually a really good, because I do know both of those guys, and you know, I like both of them, and there was a time when they didn't necessarily like love each other, and it happens. Quarterback rooms are very competitive.
Well, you guys are treated like, you know, like royalty everywhere you've been. Your entire lives, quarterbacks are treated as royalty.
Not always.
Yes.
Not always.
Maybe yes. I think always. I think ever since Little League, if you show the ability to throw a ball well, if you show the ability to be intelligent, everybody knows, like, hey, there's not a lot of people like this. This is a job that can make you hundreds of millions of dollars and be in the most prestigious position in all of professional sports, as some people say. So your entire life, like Trevor Lawrence, for instance. Trevor Lawrence, and no offense to Trevor Lawrence, I think he's an incredible football player. There's no way he's ever going to be relatable to me. I'm never going to be able to talk to Trevor Lawrence.
He's a great guy. He's a great guy. You would like
You're
him.
saying that, though, because you were in the same position as Trevor Lawrence. Quarterbacks are treated differently. So whenever you got two of those people that have been treated like that their entire life in the same room, I don't know how it doesn't happen more often, is what I'm saying. I don't know how that type of stuff doesn't, because you got humans in there.
Well, you're competing, but, you know, I think, like, Brett Favre, the rookie, would have had a better chance to being best friends with Aaron Rodgers, the rookie, rather than Brett Favre, the 40-year-old.
Makes sense.
You know, competing for the same job. I mean, Brett Favre, the rookie, Brett Favre's rookie year, he was playing for the Atlanta Falcons and Jerry Glanville. Brett Favre is not in the team photo. Why not? Because he was out partying the night before and never made it to practice in time for the team photo. So now the Hall of Fame player on that roster isn't in the team photo of that roster.
Is that real?
Yeah, it's real. It's a real story. True story.
That's like Mr. Irsay. Anytime we had team photo day, They were always like, hey, by the way, I posted a picture this morning of Team Photo Day. Team Photo Day, pretty big day in the NFL.
Big day. I know what you're going to say. You wait for the owner of the team to show up. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so we would have a scheduled team photo. Like, they would actually say on the thing, 10:30-ish. That's what they would say.
Listen, I'll one-up that. When I was playing for the Seattle Seahawks, I was 10 years in Seattle. Paul Allen, the owner of the team, bought the team more out of civic duty initially. Like, he just loved the city of Seattle. Wasn't necessarily like, oh, my dream is to own
See
it.
the guy that owns Starbucks?
No, that's not the same guy. Paul Allen is the gentleman that started Microsoft with Bill Gates. And he recently passed away last year. Very, very sad. But
rest in peace.
Yes.
To Paul.
But Paul Allen had a lot going on. He owns the Portland Trailblazers. He owns a lot of things. And so we would get dressed up in game uniform on a Saturday walkthrough before the game for the team photo. We literally would get in the team photo, wait there, like just seeing if maybe he was going to show up. And like you wait for like 10, 20 minutes that someone would come out and be like, he's on his ship in the Mediterranean Sea. Like, oh, okay. And we just practice in our uniform. So there were a couple years where there's a chance we might have like superimposed him in from like a picture, but it was a very big deal when he would show up. It was a great thing.
So Irsay, who knows, by the way, from what I've heard, Irsay's a night owl. So that he actually goes into the Colts facility like all night. Like he works literally at night. So whenever they schedule these pictures at 10:30, I mean, you're kind of ruining the owner of the place's kind of operation. But there's no other time to do the photo because you got to travel to a game. So it's like there's a lot going on. So every time it was 10:30-ish on the thing. All right, here's what you do. We got this at this. We got this at this. 10:30-ish, we have a team photo, and then we'll wait it out. It turned into a whole show. I mean, it literally turned into a whole show. I ended up doing an entire stand-up set, basically, bringing up rookies to sing, and then all of a sudden, Irsay would turn the corner on his golf cart, into the indoor facility, drive that thing literally straight up to where we're sitting, and goes, boys, let's do the photo. And he'd come walking. It was legendary.
I actually think that's where your stand-up bit kind of started.
For
because
sure.
We're sitting there. Everyone's like on a bleachers just waiting there, and it's like awkward silence. And somebody, maybe a coach, or maybe you just did it on your own.
I did.
They were like, Pat, get up and entertain us.
That's basically what it was. They were like, hey, clown, you know what you're here for. Please go up there and go ahead and talk. And by the way, this was during an era where the potential general manager did not love me. And now I'm just standing up there in front of him. He's in a suit, in front of Chuck, who Chuck has always been a big-time laugher at me, which I appreciate. Makes me feel good. And then you got all these other people. You got everybody's in that team meeting. That team meeting team photo is a big moment for the team. And, it turned into a show.
The team photo, my rookie year, I was actually on the practice squad of the Green Bay Packers. And so there were 4 quarterbacks in our room. It was Brett Favre, Doug Peterson, Rick Meyer, and then me. And
pretty good little room.
It's a great room, but there's not a lot for the 4th-string quarterback to do at practice. So I was playing scout team tight end, blocking Reggie White every day at practice. But I still would wear a red jersey, like a quarterback jersey. So in Green Bay, the offense wears white, the defense wears green, and the quarterbacks wear red. Well, for team picture day, everyone wears their game uniform. Well, since I was on the practice squad, I didn't have a game uniform. So my rookie year, I am not in the Green Bay Packers team photo either. So that's the draft class of 98. So then in our Super Bowl in 2005, I tell that story. And I was like, yeah, Mike Holmgren back then didn't allow practice squad players to be in the team photo. And I just made it up. It was like a little bit of it was a scab that I got picked or whatever. Yeah. And Mike Holmgren, this is like right before the Super Bowl. He's like, someone says, oh, how come you didn't let him be in the team photo? He's like, oh, he's lying. I let him be in the team photo. So they come back to me, like just trying to create Super Bowl week media controversy. They come back to me and they were like, well, Mike Holmgren said you were in the team photo. And I was like, oh, yeah? Well, the team photo exists.
Somebody
go look.
Google it.
Just go look. I don't know if Google was a thing back then, but maybe it was. I don't know.
2005.
But anyway, these team photos are kind of a little bit of a tricky thing. There's a
lot, and they hang on the walls of every facility forever. Yeah. Those things you get like immortalized in the facility forever.
And there's always one guy that ruins the team photo. Like you don't know it, but like there's always one guy that's given like a weird emoji face, like trying to screw up the photo.
Yeah.
Like Jeff Thomason, people know him as a tight end for the Eagles, but when I played with him with the Green Bay Packers, he would do like a funny face, kind of screw up the team photo. So
how about the Super Bowl photo?
That's something to look at.
I got to be a part of one of those. I mean, they do that on like Tuesday, media day or whatever. I mean, I was with some people that night before. They were also in that team photo or in that Super Bowl photo. We might have been running on about an hour and a half sleep. I had no idea what I was walking into. I had these big fake earrings from Glares in.
You?
Oh, it was a rough time. A lot of people
For
ask
the
me if
Super
I have
Bowl.
for the Super Bowl. I'm in a Super
That's
Bowl
not
photo,
smart.
front lower left. I didn't have shoes, so the equipment managers had to give me shoes. You had to wear black shoes. I only had white shoes, so they gave me these size like 14 shoes. I mean, I'll never be there again. Never be there again. And my photo is just a complete joke, because it is so funny. You got the highest level and everything, right? It's the biggest, best athletes, the richest athletes. You got all this stuff going on. You got owners there. You got coaches. And just for a brief moment there, it's just like you're back in high school taking a photo and somebody's ruining it. You look terrible. Your parents are going to be embarrassed. Don't ruin the family's name. And there I was right in the middle of it doing it. It was a joke, man. It was a bad situation. Speaking of bad situations, we got to go to a commercial break. Don't know if we'll get to it. Honestly, don't know if we'll get to it. I have no idea if we're going to go to it or not. Hasselbeck will join us on the other side, I think.
Sure. I could do one more. One more segment.
We got Romanowski, 11:30.
Oh, Bill Romo.
You know?
Boston College, class of 84. One of the hardest hits I've ever taken in my life was a preseason game, Green Bay Packers at Denver Broncos. He hit me so hard. He hit me so hard. Later in the same game, I get hit by somebody else, 94. And I go, hey, 94, is that as hard as you can hit? Like trying to act tough. And he looked at me and goes, hey, bro, I'm not the one who hit you. I was like, wait, what? I lost my helmet, probably lost my head. That was before concussion protocol. That was bad.
But he didn't break your eye socket like he did to a teammate years later. Wild scene there, I think.
Hey, Bill Roman, I know you got to hit a break, but Bill Romanowski has Nutrition 53, like a supplement company. Good stuff. Good stuff.
He was also on other supplements while he played that I'm trying to get on. If you know anybody, let me know. We'll be back on the other side. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show.
Good stuff.
So we're off of the radio, but we're still alive on the Zoom. So we just gotta hang out. We just gotta hang out during break.
This is Joey Roberts.
Joey, what's good?
Ironically, he's the guy that started my Trevor Lawrence friendship.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he knows if Trevor Lawrence has ever had a tough day.
I knew that. That's why I kind of threw it out there.
Exactly the person you think of.
I love that you walked in here, felt how hot it was, and decided to put the long sleeve on.
XFL.
I know, it's a good shirt.
I'm actually cutting. I'm trying to cut weight.
You think I can make it to a P?
Someone was calling me too.
I got a P.
Did you see the Darnold thing?
The mono.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on the other side. Somebody remind me to talk about that on the other side. I gotta run a piss.
Yeah, our first day here. Things are quite hectic. First time recording in this truck.
Okay. It's a great truck.
They started putting it together yesterday. Not the truck part was here. The tech part they started putting together yesterday.
Awesome.
How's it going, Scott?
I'm good. You?
How's the show go?
I've lost about 60 pounds.
That's the picture he's referring to.
So good. Show sounds good.
I mean, this honestly isn't even close to the worst situation we've been in.
That makes me feel good. It's really not.
Really not.
That'd be the Columbine. Yeah, that's the first thing that came to my head.
We do. Someone said we need a For the Brand decal on the white door.
We need a lot of things. Maybe we get the tech to work.
We don't have any decals in here at all.
No. That is a good spot for that, though.
Maybe we'd be able to stream from more than one camera before we put a decal on the wall.
I saw this thing.
Well, something
switched to this.
that's not our worries. The cameras are not my worry. It's not my job. Decals could be my job.
Yeah, true.
Worry about what you can worry about.
Control the controllables. Is that a saying?
Who you guys meeting with? One? UNC? Or both?
We're leaving here at 1:15 now.
Oh,
New
okay.
schedule. Leaving here at 1:15. Meeting with Wake at 2 at Wake. Going to meet with North Carolina at 3:45.
Love that it's 2-2-0 teams. Offenses actually do things.
Huh?
Good timing.
What's time we at?
Couldn't tell you.
Couldn't even guess.
Pat, if you want to do Darnold and then YouTube previewing tonight's Thursday night football game might not be bad.
do that.
Be like, hey, our Thursday night football games are better, but we'll talk about the NFL one if you want.
Yes, we're not calling it Thursday Night Football. We're just calling it tonight. So the NFL has a game tonight.
We're not going to call it Thursday Night Football.
Just tonight.
Tonight's game,
Yes.
Carolina versus Tampa. What do I need? Do I need to be prepared for anything?
Hey, Z, shut the... Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, joined alongside a man who played 18 years in the NFL. Can we, what's that called, fade? Can we fade music out? Is that possible?
Well, I'm trying, but you see there's quite a bit of duct tape on the bottom of the board, or gaffer's tape kind of gets caught down there at the bottom.
Hasselbeck can't hear him. We're kind of in two different worlds here. Ty is in the middle of a full construction of an operation while we're out here in a hot box, but Matt Hasselbeck has joined us.
We are in the sauna. We are literally in the sauna. I feel like I'm back in the NFL locker room, right?
Yes.
Because there's two options, basically. If you want to hang out, you're either in the sauna or you're in the steam room.
Or
the hot tub or the cold tub.
That is
I'm bad at math today. There's a lot of options.
No, I mean, you just got out of an
Training
hour and a
room,
half drive.
weight room, locker room. There's a lot of options.
But, you know, that is something that's interesting. The training room is a place that if your trainers and physical therapists don't have a good personality, the whole team can be ruined.
They want to be known as athletic trainers, not trainers. ATCs want to be called athletic trainers, not trainers.
Listen, my lady was a server, not a waitress. I completely get it.
You know,
okay?
I read PFATS Weekly. Look it up. It's a magazine. Professional football trainers, something, or I can't.
Well, you know what? At least I called them trainers. People on the internet call them water boys, and I always get very angry. I'm like, those water boys you're referring to, they work 20 hours a day for about 7 months during the season. But if they don't have a good personality, the team can really go into shambles. That's a real thing. A lot of time in the training room. Nobody's happy when they go in the training room. By the way, you're not walking in the training room. You know what? Feel good today. Let's take care of everything. Let's just have a good time in here.
Well, think about it. It's a lot of people coming off of surgery. A lot of people dealing with injuries, painful injuries. It's the opportunity to have kind of like a half empty versus a half full. You know, feeling when you walk in there.
They always said
contagious.
If you have a glass and it's half empty, you're a pessimist, and if the glass is half full, you're an optimist. I've always said, get a smaller glass, and that thing will be filled to the top. Jim Irsay told me that during my retirement conversation with him. I started dying laughing. He was hitting a vape, which, by the way, shouldn't do. I've been learning should not be doing that. Somebody should tell Jim Irsay to stop vaping immediately. It's not good for you anymore.
Yeah, I think I'm the one who sent you that. I sent you that initially.
Matt Hasselbeck's looking out for me. He's become my pseudo-father in this whole thing.
Well, I just saw your father over there. He wasn't being very fatherly.
My dad,
I'm like, is it hot in that truck? He's like, yeah, he'll be fine. He could cut a few pounds.
You got to remember, my dad built this thing by hand in like a week. So the fact that we're telling him,
I'm looking out for you. I'm looking out for you.
Yeah, but Tim McAfee is not happy with all the slander being thrown at the air conditioner because putting in the air conditioner.
You are his athletic training room right now.
Exactly.
Very pessimistic. Very pessimistic view of this thing.
Glass is half empty. I think we've been talking about that.
I think the glass is all the way empty with the temperature. You know?
Well, if we make the glass smaller, it'll be colder in here.
People pay a lot of money for a sauna. You got one free. Like, this is nice.
That's right. And I need to get some stuff out of me anyways.
Thank you.
You probably not. You're much more pure man, but not me. Speaking of getting things out of you.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of a human past the age of 15, maybe 16, getting mono? Sam Darnold is out with mono. Le'Veon Bell is getting an MRI on his shoulder. Sam Darnold has mono, and they're saying at his age, it is a very dangerous disease to have. I don't even know how you get mono at this. I have no idea. And
Sam Darnold is not very old, though. He's one of the youngest quarterbacks.
22.
He's 22.
Yeah.
So when I was, kind of evaluating all those guys coming out in the draft, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, all those guys, Sam Darnold was like
19 or something.
So you're comparing him to like a 23-year-old Baker Mayfield, and he's like turning 21. And I'm not surprised he has mono. Honestly,
that is right. He's a young kid, but
they call mono the kissing disease, I think, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I had a friend in college. He was a little bit overweight, retired offensive lineman, moved over to long snapper. Was just on team to party. Very obvious, but he was always battling his weight. And there was a female at West Virginia who got mono, and he was trying to make out with her. He was like, I get mono, I lose 20 pounds, I'm going to be right back into the thing. I'm like, I don't think that's how mono works. I don't think you just lose weight and it stays off. So that is the only interaction I've had with mono since high school, when kids would just disappear. Kids would go on a 6-month vacation. I'm like, what happened? Did Ryan move? They're like, mono. I'm like, damn.
I don't know the details on this, but Andrew Luck's freshman year at Stanford, he missed almost all that year, I think, because of mono. It's a big thing. It's a big thing in college.
Andrew Luck had mono?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have had mono, but you don't hear about people in the NFL
chicken pox. Everybody gets chicken pox. Mono, I'm not sure. I never got the mono. I don't even know how you get the mono.
Maybe you're the guy giving people the mono.
It's an interesting way to look at it. It's an interesting way to look at it, Hasselbeck. And to my friend that was trying to get mono, who's probably listening, I would have made out with you, bub. If you wanted to lose 20 pounds, that's the type of guy I am. Good friend.
So that's big news. That's a crushing blow to the Monday night game.
It's a real shame Monday nights got worse. That's a real shame. I feel very bad for them. Thursday nights on ESPN are really an electric factory. Friday this week.
Very confusing.
Tonight's game. There's an NFL game on tonight on NFL Network.
Yes, in town.
In this town.
Yes.
I was thinking about getting boys and I some sideline passes, but turns out I know nobody.
What are you talking about? I know many friends that you have in that game.
I don't have any of their numbers, so not really friends of mine. Friends of yours. That's the quarterback thing that we talked about just a little bit ago, not being very relatable. I don't have their number. I know who you're referring to, and there's no way that person would answer my call right now.
He loves you. What are you talking about?
Everybody says that.
And then I try coaches in the NFL that have coached you, they love you. They just think that you could be the reason they get fired. They're like, oh, man, I love it. Like when I told them I was calling college football games with you on weeknights, usually Thursday, this week on Friday, when I told them that I was doing that with Pat McAfee, they were like, oh, wow, wait, really? Oh, do me a favor. Don't get fired. Don't get. So they're nervous, but I know that you have the ability to turn it on and turn it off. Like you can play. You can play nice, and then you can get down in the dirt. Like I saw your interview with Marshawn Lynch, and then I saw your interview with Steve Nash.
Dude.
It's like a two different type of interviews.
I didn't know who Steve Nash was. I had no idea.
Apparently, when you asked him who are you rooting for, and he's like, well, I work for the Warriors.
Should have known that. That's something I should have known. I've been getting buried by a lot of Canadians, by the way. I've been getting a lot of tweets from the Steve Nash faithful up there in Canada. Like that was a cringeworthy interview.
Just so you know, just so you feel better, I trained 1 year in Vancouver when I was playing for the Seattle Seahawks. I trained with this guy, Rick Celebrini. He's one of the physiotherapist that kept Steve Nash going for a very, very long time. While I was there, Steve Nash signs with LA, with the Lakers. In Canada, on the local news in Vancouver, they throw up on the screen in Canada, Steve Nash signs with the LA Kings.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Like, it's such a hockey place that they said the LA Kings. No, it's Steve Nash basketball. He signed with the Lakers.
Yeah, but
you're forgiven.
That's what I'm saying.
Not the worst thing that's happened to Steve Nash.
If those professional journalists in his hometown don't know where the hell he's playing, how am I supposed to?
In his home country.
I grew up in Pittsburgh.
In fairness to the
Canadians. We don't do the basketball.
In fairness to the Canadians, if you look at Canadian money, there's a picture of like kids playing hockey on the Canadian money.
Yeah,
so it's a big deal. It's like a way of life.
Your kids play lacrosse.
I got 2 hockey players too. I have a son and a daughter who play hockey.
Hey, that story about Wells from Boston College?
Yeah, Wells Crowther.
The red bandana. I was bawling my eyes out yesterday watching that whole thing. I never heard of that until
September 11th.
Amazing. Absolute amazing.
So for people who don't know, you could look up the story. Drew Gallagher, the guy who produces and runs College Game Day for ESPN, went to Boston College, class of 99, classmates with this lacrosse player, Wells Crowther, who was working in one of the Twin Towers, who his dream was, I think he wanted to be a firefighter. I believe his dad was a firefighter.
Yep.
He got a big-time job in financial services instead. Well, the fire happens. People are trapped. Everyone's evacuating. And this guy, who happened to be wearing a red bandana, that's how people recognized him, instead of going down, this guy was going up. And I think he rescued 12 people, and he didn't make it out. So really did the work of a firefighter, and he wasn't a firefighter, and lost his life. Quite a sacrifice.
When his dad on that Tom Rinaldi piece said, "It's nice to know that in the last hour of his life, he put his stock trader hat down and put it, I'm about to start crying right now, his fireman helmet on." He said, "It's nice to know that in his last hour of existence, my kid was a hero, basically." And I was just like, "Oh my God!" He was crying. It's starting to happen right now. It was just, it's an
really
incredible story.
And, you know, Boston College doesn't even have a men's lacrosse team anymore. They have a women's lacrosse team. They're very, very good. But they don't have a men's lacrosse program. And still, this red bandana sort of, tribute is like the biggest tradition at Boston College. Boston College has been around for, hundreds of years, and this is the biggest tribute that they have. And Wells Crowther's father actually passed away this year. But great family.
I'm about to start
amazing
bawling
story.
again.
If you haven't seen the story, you need to check it out.
ESPN decided to put it on the internet just for the first time yesterday. Probably a good decision. That's how I saw it. I was crying. So thankful to Wells being a good human. Also, you, Matt, tonight, Buccaneers, Panthers in Charlotte. Jameis Winston, 4-12 since the E to W incident.
Really?
Has that ruined him? And what are you expecting tonight from McAfee, who scored 37.5 fantasy points last week, which I don't know what that means. That's a lot, I guess.
Yeah, McCaffrey's a beast. The Panthers are favored, big favorite. The Bucs turn the ball over a bunch. Bruce Arians, Jameis Winston. How's this going to work? We got to cut down on interceptions. Jameis Winston, that's like the talk of the town. And yet your coach is no risk it, no biscuit. Take
Bruce
chances,
Arians.
Bruce Arians. So how is that going to work? I actually think it can work. It did not work last week. It looked really bad. On the other side, Cam Newton coming off an injury, coming off a shoulder surgery. How's he going to look? I'll say this. I'm like the biggest Christian McCaffrey fan going. When I was playing for the Colts, Andrew Luck, who went to Stanford, he would take us to Stanford in the offseason, and we would work out at their facilities. I remember seeing this like pipsqueak, pretty boy, freshman.
I never got invited once.
Running back.
I was QB3.
It was Christian McCaffrey. The guy's a beast. Like, don't let the blonde hair, blue eyes smile looking like Ricky Schroeder fool you.
He does.
He's a beast. He's an inside runner. He's a tough runner. But
pretty sure he's dating Miss America too.
Really?
Yep, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if that's certain. I saw pictures on the internet. Just what I know. So
I would say this: the Tampa Bay Bucks have the ability to be like feast or famine. It could be they're just cutting it loose, scoring touchdowns, and wow, we didn't see this coming. Or it could be a disaster. 4 turnovers, and Carolina runs away with it, and everything they do offensively runs right through Christian McCaffrey.
Carolina's -7. Degenerate Diggs. What are you taking tonight?
I am going with the Bucks +7. I just think it's too many points. Cam did not look good last week when I was watching him. There was a stat all of last year, even with the shoulder injury, he has not completed a ball that's traveled in the air more than 30 yards in 2 years.
He's hurt last year. He just got fixed.
Yeah, so he was good until he got hurt, right? And I remember when that happened. It was actually a Monday night game. I did the pregame for that, and it was the game before, and it was like 2 different people. I will say this, though. Cam, in his post-game press conference, which I don't usually watch because I'm not a fan of the outfits, I just listen to. But this one I happen to watch and listen to. And
I can't stand looking at him. I can listen.
He had a barbed wire hat on.
And a bonnet.
And they lost.
He had a bonnet.
Anyway, getting back to what he said, the reporters were asking him fair questions about not pushing the ball down the field. He got real testy about it. Like a real offended.
Cool.
And he was kind of like
testy.
He was condescending to the reporters.
I respect
They
that.
got to him a little bit. And so he's going to try to push the ball downfield. So that means one of 2 things. He'll be successful because he's a great player, great athlete. Or he's forcing it, predetermining. It's really not a great way to play quarterback. And we could have that evens out the turnover ratio in this game.
We got to go to a break. I respect that professional analysis. Do you want to sit around with Romanowski on the phone? Where are you going to go? Honestly, I've been inside that hotel. You can't hear him. Can't hear him. Never mind.
I would like to. I need to actually prep for this Wake Forest North Carolina game that we're calling tomorrow night
At
on
6.
ESPN at 6:00 Eastern on a Friday. 2-0 versus 2-0, sold out stadium, a blackout, and I got a little news to break here.
Good.
North Carolina, since Wake Forest is going with the blackout, they got that fresh Jordan deal. They're going white on white on white on white. White helmets, white jerseys, white pants, white shoes, white everything. It's going to be a great optic, and Pat McAfee will be there calling the game. I can't wait.
I'll tell you what, I haven't prepared for it yet. I'll do that at some point. Can't wait for it. Matt Hasselbeck, you're the absolute best. We got to get to a break. Bill Romanowski's on the other side. You're listening to the...
I don't know. Pat McAfee Show? What is this called? What's the name of the show?
Get the hell out of the truck. Pat McAfee Show.
Good stuff. Joey, if I didn't introduce you.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not opposed to coming back. I got to get settled.
Show's over in 20 minutes. Oh, hey, you want to come back, though? We got a podcast record.
Do this, though. Tell Romo that I'm a big fan of Neuro One. Neuro One. Thank you.
Are we
Neuro
clear?
One. Big fan.
Hey, XFL, what are you doing here? You're trying to... What's going on? There's an angle here. There is an angle. Do you want to get it on camera?
There's no angle.
There is an angle. What are you trying to do right now? You trying to get commentating gig?
No. I'm trying not to be commentating.
It's funny you say. I think we're live. Can't talk about it.
There's no more days left. No more days in the week.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. What are you doing with this XFL stuff? I mean, what are you doing? Are you an owner?
No.
Vince McMahon owns all the teams. What are you doing?
Maybe play caller. What?
You're going to be a head coach in the XFL?
No, Jim Zorn's the head coach of the XFL.
Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news here on the internet. Are you a head coach in the XFL?
Go play for the XFL. Play for the Dragons.
Player coach.
Matt Hasselbeck is getting back in shape
Michael Jordan.
to play for the XFL.
Bill Russell.
Monstars.
Have you ever seen a human with this much XFL gear on that isn't being paid to
He
wear it?
purposely threw it on when he got in here because he knew he was going to be on camera.
Yeah, we need that.
That was great. That was great.
I can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Oh, 2 camera shoot.
Hello. I'm sweating.
Yeah, it's getting hot.
I'm tired of Wikipedia asking me to donate them money. I'm not donating money. Sell ads, like everybody else. Jeez Louise, dude. I'm not going to donate later either.
Maybe we need.
Stop it. Look at this. It's a 4-scroller. Panhandle. Wikipedia. Stop panhandling. I'm done with it. I mean, you know what? I'll give $5. Oh, yeah.
Then when you want to look something up, you're gonna try and look it up. You're gonna sit.
What do they need the money for?
You're gonna be pissed.
What do they need the money for?
You're gonna be pissed. It'll
Just
torpedo the
put,
company.
just put a little thing. Put banner ads.
It won't torpedo the company. There's nowhere else to go.
Hello. Hi, how's it going? My name is Pat McAfee. I'm talking into a microphone. Can't really... Good call, Paul. Englishman named Paul just told me I am very hot on the internet right now. I'm also very hot in real life. Mr. Romanowski, can you hear me?
Yeah, pretty bad connection though.
Yeah, it's a terrible connection, Bill. And when I say this, I mean this. We're coming to you live from a box truck right now. I'm so sorry that there's been incredible tech situations here all day. I hope that we can make some magic because you are an electric individual, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Manually with the thing, with the iPad?
I can, but the way I have to do it,
You can't
is slide it.
You can't just hit the...
Yeah, but then you're gonna hear the.
No. No. Yeah. By the way, hilarious. excited to see how this works.
Day one.
Day 1 again. Day 4. Day 1.
Day one issues here in the truck.
Mr. Romanowski, you are currently live right now. We're back in 30 seconds, though. On the internet, you're live. Radio, you're back in 30 seconds. Hello and welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show, broadcasting worldwide and on radio stations across the country with our friends at Westwood One and DAZN. Matt Hasselbeck just left the sauna of a truck, had an incredible conversation about tonight's games, mono, and everything in between. Joining us now is a man who's known for being an Iron Man on the football field. 263 consecutive snaps at a position, or consecutive games at a position that you should not be playing consecutive games. A linebacker, a name synonymous with the old days of football. He's been in movies with the Sandman. He's been a businessman. Matt Hasselbeck just told me that he loves the Neuro One supplements. It makes him feel better. Matt Hasselbeck also just said that this man delivered the hardest hit he's ever received. I'm sure there's a lot of humans who think that. Linebacker Bill Romanowski. Sir, can you hear us?
I got you.
I'll tell you what, Mr. Romanowski. Whenever I think of your name, I just think of a man that was the most intense player on a field, a man that took zero crap. And I heard this story that on your first practice as a rookie, you got like pushed and shoved and didn't do something. And Ronnie Lott told you that don't ever let that happen. Did that kind of shape your entire career and mindset as a football player, that conversation? Or were you always like that? You're just trying not to upset anybody on your first day?
No, that did shape me. But that actually happened in my first game as a 49er. We were playing with the Los Angeles Raiders. And in the second half of that game, you're right, I got pushed in the back, and we're in the film room the next day. George Seifert's running the projector, and Ronnie turns on the lights right in the middle of the film and says to George, turn off the projector, and he comes over to me, leans over my desk, and he says, Romo, if I ever see anybody push you in the back, and you don't do something about it, I will personally kick your ass.
So that's really a defining moment in your career. I couldn't even fathom that. People told me all the time that if I got pushed in the back and I didn't do anything about it, probably the right move. Probably just go ahead and stay away from those types of incidents because I was soft. You went on to become one of the most vicious football players to ever play at a position that requires a lot of vicious situations. And the old football was one that was a grind and pound, big play, big hit game. Now things have changed immensely. How do you feel about the way the game in its current state? And do you think your style of play, do you think you would have been fined $1 million a weekend?
Probably at least, because I was a head hitter. So every time I hit somebody, I was delivering a blow with my helmet, because that's the way I learned how to hit. And the harder you could hit, the better. And I used my head as a weapon, and I wanted to knock people out. Well, the way the game is now, you can't deliver blows with your helmet. You got to turn your head and deliver it with your shoulder. I don't know if I could have done that. And you're right. I think I would have been fined every week or probably kicked out of the game.
Well, I would assume so. The way you just described everything there with your tackling method is everything that Roger Goodell has come out against and the NFL has come out against because of the stats and the science and the research. Whenever you start hearing about things like this happening to older players who potentially played the exact way you did, using your helmet as a weapon and your head as a weapon, is there any thoughts or fear or uncertainty about the potential future of your brain because of the way you played?
You know what? I think there is, but I think you have to use it every day. And it's a situation where, hey, I run a company now, Nutrition 53, so I solve problems every day. I put fires out every day. And I think, working on something that you're passionate about, that you're fired up about, when you get up and you have something to go do, I think that's important. I don't drink. I eat good food. I don't smoke. I don't do anything bad other than I eat good food, I work hard, and I work out every day. And to me, that is the recipe for success. And if something happens to me, hey, I'll deal with it then. But I also do a lot of hyperbarics. I have my brain focus product. I do a lot of things to make sure my brain is going to be all right. Another thing I do is I get in a sauna every day for 20 minutes. So there's research that says if you get in a sauna every day for 20 minutes, your chance of getting Alzheimer's drops by 65%. After I read that research, I put a sauna in the next day. So, those are the kind of things. I'm very progressive, no different than when I played. I'm progressive now to make sure my brain is all right.
We're coming to you live from a sauna currently. We've been in here for 2 hours, so I hope that this helps us out. Those types of stats and those types of things, looking to the future, trying to get ahead of it, is such an incredible thought, because back whenever you were in the NFL, there was a lot of chatter about you staying ahead of the NFL drug testing program and being smarter than the program, which is still happening, by the way, nowadays. Do you think you were potentially misrepresented in your legacy because of everything that came out from that incident with your teammate and the products you were using and stuff like that?
You know what? At the end of the day, that really had nothing to do with anything. Hey, I took things that they couldn't test for, and when they could test for them, I didn't take them. That, to me, isn't doing something illegal. That's just being smart.
Yep.
So that's what I tried to do is, hey, I looked at the drug testing list as a Bible. And I think you had to look at it that way, because the last thing you wanted to do, was test positive for something and embarrass your family. Hey, when it was all said and done and my career was over, I came out and I talked about different things that I did. In my book, I talked about it. I was just honest about what I did. And I think there's some people that thought, oh, this is a guy that just cheated on everything. And I don't think that's the case. What I did is I worked harder than any other player in the NFL at every aspect of the game. And that is training, that is film study, that is keeping their body right, that is eating the right things, supplementation, recovery. Everything is part of being a great athlete. And it took that for me to be able to take that field every week.
Did you have a doctor working with you, and did you start this early on? Like, how did you decide that you were going to be a guy who wasn't scared to make his body better if the NFL is not and I think the fan perspective and the media perspective might potentially be different than, I don't want to say a majority, but people in a locker room who are just trying to be the best they absolutely can. If somebody isn't testing for something, let's go ahead and get ahead of it. And as soon as they start testing it, it's against the rules. I'll stop doing it. I don't want to be a cheater. Did you have a doctor that you worked with, or is this something that you literally started doing yourself? And as a follow-up, did you know you were going to get into the supplement game? Matt Hasselbeck, and when I say this, I mean this. Matt Hasselbeck was a guy in, like, Rookie of the Year, the guy who opens the locker and has everything that could potentially make him better, voodoo dolls, copper fit, you name it, everything like that. He spoke glowingly of your Neuro 1. Did you know you were going to get in the supplement game afterwards?
You know what? I didn't know I was going to get into it, but it was something, as far as the doctors, I had 10 different doctors I worked with. I had, a team of scientists I worked with. I had acupuncturists. I had massage therapists. I had Reiki specialists, herbologists. I mean, you name it, they were part of my team, and I could get a hold of them and get with them with whatever I needed at that particular moment. And I just knew how to get information from 10 different people and to utilize the right thing at the right time, whether it be for recovery, whether it be for getting over an injury, fighting inflammation, a major bruise, a dislocated shoulder, you name it, I had what it took, broken bones. Because, I played with a broken thumb, most of my career. I had a broken wrist most of my career. So those are things I had to just deal with and work around, and I was able to do that.
Who's a player? I mean, by the way, you're decades ahead of what's happening now. Everybody has a staff of people taking care of them. The TB12 treatment is a real thing. I mean, that is something that is pliability, the whole thing. I would assume a lot of your teammates thought you were a lunatic of a man, but whenever you play for 263 consecutive games, somebody has to respect that, including me. That's incredible. How did you get into the acting game? How, did you just meet Adam Sandler? Because it feels like with Adam Sandler, if you get in the group, you're in there for good. You'll be in every movie. You've done a lot in Hollywood. Is that a plan to get back in there? Did you enjoy the acting game? And it's kind of a funny thing because your viciousness actually leads well to comedy on the other side of it.
Yeah. Well, I remember, I got a call from, Happy Madison. And they said, hey, Adam wants to put you in The Longest Yard, a movie that he's doing. So I went down and met with him, and, we hit it off pretty good and spent a lot of time together and, went away, skied, and did some things. And, he put me in a bunch of his movies after that. And then it got to a point where, between, my company, my kids, it was a little too hard at that point to balance it all. So I decided to kind of take a little hiatus from it, but I may get back into it. You never know. Right now, hey, Nutrition 53 is making people better. I'm making people leaner, smarter, sleeping better. I'm going after quality of life issues in a big way and trying to make a difference in this world. And I love the movies. Adam Sandler is one of the best people in the world to work for.
Amen.
Had a blast doing it. And, so everything right now is pretty darn good.
Well, I'll tell you this. With the Nutrition 53, give me a six-pack?
I could probably get you, it depends what I'm starting with. But I'm starting with something pretty decent, I could probably get you a six-pack in, 3 to 4 months.
Let's go! Romo, I cannot wait to have a six-pack. I cannot wait to try the Nutrition 53. I can't wait to try the Neuro 1. And hey, who's your favorite football player right now? Just before we go. Favorite NFL player to watch? We got like a minute left.
Right now, my favorite football player to watch is Tom Brady.
So
and I say that because of his age, because of his smarts, because of his coach. I absolutely just love to watch this guy do what he does at his age because, hey, I tried to make it to 40, and I ended at age 37. And this guy's 42, and he's doing it at a high level. And, it's awesome to watch. It truly is.
Well, Well, Mr. Romanowski, I can't thank you enough, not only for coming on the show, but for potentially getting me a six-pack in 3 to 4 months. That's going to be beautiful. I honestly thought there was a chance I was born without the bottom 2 abs. I've seen 4 before. I've never seen 6. I can't wait for that to happen. Congrats on all your success post-football and in football, ladies and gentlemen. Bill Romanowski. Thank you, Bill.
Okay, take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got about 35 seconds left here on this live broadcast from a box truck. Today, we've had to battle through some elements. It's been a sauna in here. It's been 145 degrees. We're in a box truck. The microphones weren't connected. The cameras weren't connected. But what did we do?
Battled.
We persevered, and that's what we're going to do every single day to try and deliver you the greatest live sports show in the history of live sports shows. If you don't like us, just wait and figure out why. If not, just keep it moving to another station. You're the absolute greatest. We'll see you tomorrow. You've been listening to the Pat McAfee Show. We did a show. We did